Kari Novak stretched in her chair and rubbed her tired eyes. She had been staring at signal data for 6 hours straight in the dimly lit monitoring station of the human ship Horizon. The room was quiet, except for the soft beeping of equipment and the hum of the ship's engines. As a xenobiologist, Kari wasn't normally assigned to communication duty, but the regular comm officer had fallen ill, and Captain Wright believed in cross-training. So here she was, monitoring deep space transmissions from the vast emptiness between star systems, hoping to catch anything interesting. The screen in front of her suddenly flickered. A pattern emerged among the usual cosmic noise, a repeating sequence of pulses that didn't match any known natural phenomenon. Kari sat up straight, suddenly wide awake. "Penny," she called to the ship's artificial intelligence, "analyze this signal pattern." "Working," replied the AI's calm female voice. After a few seconds, Penny responded, "Signal contains mathematical sequence consistent with artificial origin. Pattern suggests deliberate communication rather than equipment malfunction." Kari's heart raced. "Can you determine the source?" "Signal originates from Sector 7 Alpha, approximately 3 light days from current position. No registered vessels or outposts in that region." Kari pressed the comm button on her console. "Captain Wright to the monitoring station, please." "Possible." First contact situation. 10 minutes later, the monitoring room was crowded with the ship's senior staff. Captain Alan Wright, a tall man with graying hair and the weathered face of someone who had spent decades in space, leaned over Kari's shoulder, studying the signal pattern. "It's definitely artificial," Kari explained. "The sequence follows prime number intervals that couldn't occur naturally." Frank Martinez, the ship's chief engineer, crossed his arms over his chest. "That's outside our exploration zone. We'd be violating mission parameters if we investigate." "It's a distress signal," argued Lily Cooper, the communications specialist, who had arrived to take over from Kari. "The pattern has the universal distress marker embedded in it." "Penny, what's your assessment?" Captain Wright asked. The AI's voice filled the room. "Signal matches distress protocols with 89% certainty. Based on signal degradation, it has been broadcasting for approximately 27 years. I calculate a 62% probability of non-human origin." A heavy silence fell over the room. Everyone understood what that meant. Potentially the first direct contact with an alien civilization and one in trouble. "We're 3 weeks from the nearest human outpost," Frank pointed out. "If we divert to investigate, we risk depleting our antimatter reserves below safe levels for return." "If it were us out there," Lily said quietly, "wouldn't we want someone to answer?" Captain Wright straightened up, his decision made. "Plot a course to the signal source, maximum safe speed. I'll take full responsibility with command." "Sir," Frank protested, "regulations clearly state—" "I know what the regulations state, Mr. Martinez," the captain interrupted. "They also give me discretion in matters of potential life and death. Penny, send a message to command informing them of our course change." "Transmission sent," the AI confirmed. "Be advised that at our current distance from Earth, a response will take approximately 3 weeks to reach us. By then, we'll know if we made the right call," Wright said. "Prepare the ship for possible first contact scenario. Kari, I want you leading the science team on this." Kari nodded, excitement and nervousness battling inside her. This was why she had joined the Terran Space Initiative, for the chance to encounter new life forms. The Horizon changed course, its powerful engines pushing it through the emptiness of deep space toward the mysterious signal. The crew worked with focused efficiency, preparing equipment for an encounter with unknown technology and possibly an alien species in distress. 3 days later, Penny announced, "Approaching signal source. Object detected on long-range scanners." On the bridge, the main view screen showed a distant speck against the backdrop of stars. As the horizon drew closer, the speck resolved into a shape that was clearly artificial, a vessel of some kind, though unlike any human design. "Full stop at 10,000 kilometers, ordered Captain Wright. "Passive scans only until we know more." The alien ship was beautiful in a strange way. It had a central spherical section with 3 curved arms extending outward, creating a spiral pattern. But even from a distance, they could see the damage. One arm was completely sheared off and the hull was punctured in multiple places. No signs of propulsion activity, reported the sensor officer. Minimal power readings from what might be emergency systems. Life signs? Asked the captain. Inconclusive at this range. The hull material is interfering with our bioscanners. Carrie studied the readings from her science station. The design suggests a species with different aesthetic values than humans. The spiral pattern might serve a practical purpose or could be cultural. The damage pattern is consistent with a massive energy discharge, perhaps a solar flare or weapons. Fire. How long has it been drifting? Wright asked. Frank checked his readings. Based on trajectory analysis and micrometeor impact patterns, at least 20 to 30 years. It's a miracle any systems are still functioning. Sir, Lily called from communications. I've established a more precise fix on the distress signal. It's definitely coming from within that vessel, but it's weakening. Whatever power source they're using is failing. Captain Wright stood up from his chair and gazed at the damaged alien ship on the screen. This was the moment that would define his career, perhaps even humanity's place among the stars. They were far from home, low on resources, facing an unknown situation with potential dangers. The safe choice would be to document the find and continue their mission. Instead, he gave the order that would change everything. Prepare a boarding party. Kari, you'll lead the scientific assessment. Peter, you'll handle security. Susan, we'll need your engineering expertise to evaluate their systems. Full environmental suits and quarantine protocols in effect. He turned to face his crew, his expression solemn. Whatever beings constructed that ship sent a call for help into the darkness of space, never knowing if anyone would answer. Today, humanity answers. Let's show the universe what kind of people we are. The shuttle bay of the horizon buzzed with activity as the boarding team prepared for their mission. Kari Novak checked her environmental suit seals for the 3rd time. Her hands trembled slightly with a mixture of excitement and fear. No human had ever made direct contact with an alien species before, and she would be among the first. Peter Douglas, the security officer, loaded his non-lethal stun weapon and secured it to his suit. His face showed no emotion, but his movements were precise and careful. Remember, he told the team, we're there to help, but we don't know what we might find. Stay alert. Susan Miller, the engineer, packed a case with diagnostic tools. She had dark circles under her eyes from staying up all night studying the scans of the alien vessel. Their power systems are unlike anything I've seen before, she said. It looks like they use some kind of crystalline technology rather than our nuclear or antimatter methods. Captain Wright entered the shuttle bay. The room fell silent as he approached the team. This mission is voluntary, he reminded them. There are risks we cannot predict. We're ready, sir, Carrie replied. No one on the team showed any sign of wanting to back out. Wright nodded, pride evident in his eyes. Maintain constant communication. At the first sign of danger, you return immediately. The small shuttle left the horizon and moved slowly toward the damaged alien vessel. Up close, the damage looked even worse. Huge sections of the hull were torn away, exposing internal structures to the vacuum of space. Look at the hull material, Susan said as they approached. It almost seems to be self-healing in some areas. The shuttle circled the alien craft, looking for a safe entry point. They found a docking area that appeared to be designed for smaller vessels. Their airlock system is damaged but might still function, Susan said after studying the readings. I think I can get it working enough for us to enter. The shuttle extended its docking tube to connect with the alien airlock. After some careful work by Susan, they managed to create a sealed pathway into the vessel. Atmosphere readings show traces of oxygen, Carrie reported, checking her scanner, but not enough to breathe. Keep your suit sealed. The team entered the alien ship, their helmet lights cutting through the darkness. The interior was nothing like human ships. The corridors curved in gentle spirals rather than straight lines. The walls seemed to glow faintly with a blue-green light, though most sections were dark due to power failure. The architecture suggests a species that thinks differently than we do, Carrie observed. Notice how there are no sharp angles or corners. They moved deeper into the ship, following the strongest power readings. The gravity was slightly less than Earth normal, making their movements feel bouncy and light. "Look at these markings," Carrie said, pointing to symbols etched into the walls. "Some kind of writing or signage." She took pictures with her suit camera for later analysis. After 20 minutes of exploration, they reached what appeared to be the ship's main control room. Unlike the bridge of a human vessel, this room was circular with control panels arranged in concentric rings around a central platform. "Power levels are higher here," Susan said. "Some systems are still running on emergency power." Peter's scanner beeped suddenly. "I'm detecting faint life signs. Below us, I think." They found an access way that led down to a lower level. Here the temperature was much colder, and ice crystals had formed on some surfaces. "This looks like some kind of stasis chamber," Carrie said as they entered a large room filled with pod-like structures arranged in rows. Most of the pods were dark and showed signs of damage, but a few still glowed with dim light. Susan checked her readings. 4 pods still have power, but 3 show no life signs inside. They approached the one functioning pod that contained a life form. The surface was frosted over, making it impossible to see inside clearly. Susan connected her diagnostic tool to a panel on the side of the pod. "The stasis system is failing," she reported, her voice urgent. "Whatever's in there doesn't have much time left." Kari wiped away some of the frost and peered inside. She gasped as she made out the shape of the being within, a slender, humanoid figure with iridescent skin that seemed to shift colors even in the dim light. The most striking feature was its 4 arms, folded peacefully across its chest. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "We need to decide quickly," Peter said. "Do we try to save it here or take it back to our ship?" Susan shook her head. "We can't save it here. The pod's power will fail completely within hours, maybe less. Our only chance is to bring it to the horizon." Kari contacted the ship. "Captain, we found a survivor in stasis. Request permission to bring it aboard for medical treatment." There was a pause before Wright responded. "Quarantine protocols will be in effect. Bring the survivor to the medical bay." With careful coordination, they disconnected the stasis pod from the alien ship's systems and prepared it for transport. The pod was lighter than expected, made of materials unlike any human technology. "This is a huge responsibility," Carrie said, as they moved the pod toward their shuttle. "We're about to become the first humans to save an alien life." Back on the horizon, the medical team was waiting in full containment gear. Dr. Greg Harris, the chief medical officer, had prepared a special isolation room for the alien. The stasis pod was placed in the center of the medical bay. Everyone watched nervously as Greg and his team connected it to their monitoring equipment. "The stasis field is collapsing," Greg announced. "We need to wake it now or it might not survive the transition." Greg worked carefully, using the data from the alien ship to understand the stasis technology. Slowly, the pod's cover retracted, revealing the alien in full view. Its skin shimmered with colors that seemed to flow like water across its surface. It had no hair, and its face featured large, almond-shaped eyes that remained closed. Its forearms were thin but muscular, and its body proportions were similar to a human's, though more slender. "Vital signs are stabilizing," Greg reported, "but its cellular structure shows signs of extreme stress. It's been in that pod for a very long time." The alien's eyes suddenly opened. They were deep purple with no visible pupils, and they darted around the room in obvious fear. It tried to sit up but was too weak. Carrie stepped forward slowly, hands raised to show she meant no harm. "We're friends," she said softly, knowing the alien couldn't understand her words but hoping her tone would convey her meaning. The alien's body tensed, then relaxed as it studied the humans around it. It raised one hand weakly toward Carrie, its fingers trembling. Greg checked his monitors. Heart rate increasing but within safe parameters. "I think it's trying to communicate." The alien's mouth opened, and a series of musical sounds emerged. Though the words were incomprehensible, the tone seemed questioning, perhaps even hopeful. "Penny," Carrie called to the ship's AI. "Begin linguistic analysis. Establish basic communication parameters if possible." Working, Penny replied. Detecting, patterns consistent with language. Beginning translation matrix. The alien watched and listened, its expression changing from fear to what looked remarkably like wonder. Welcome, Carrie said, smiling behind her containment mask. You're safe now. 3 days passed since the rescue of the alien survivor. In that time, the medical team worked around the clock to stabilize the being's condition. Dr. Greg Harris had never studied alien biology before, but he approached the challenge with careful determination. Its cellular structure is fascinating, Greg told Captain Wright during their morning briefing. The cells can change their function based on need. It makes treating injuries much easier. The alien was recovering in a special room adjusted to match the atmospheric conditions found in its stasis pod. Through a glass wall, Carrie watched as the being examined a water cup with its 4 hands, turning it carefully as if studying every detail. Any progress on communication? Wright asked. Carrie nodded. Penny has been analyzing its speech patterns. We've established a basic translation matrix. The alien seems to understand simple concepts now. Penny, the ship's AI, had worked non-stop to create a translation program. The alien language was musical, with meaning conveyed through both sounds and the shifting colors of its skin. The survivor's name is Zikara, Carrie explained. It, or rather they, come from a civilization called the Vorex Collective. Wright raised his eyebrows. They've shared that much already? Zikara seems eager to communicate. I think they've been alone for a very long time. Kari entered the room wearing a light breathing mask. The air inside was safe for humans but contained trace elements to help Zikara feel comfortable. The alien looked up as she approached, the colors on their skin shifting to a warm golden hue that Penny had translated as indicating positive emotions. Good morning, Zikara, Carrie said. The alien tilted their head. Good morning, Carrie Novak, they replied through the translation device. The voice sounded mechanical but clear. How are you feeling today? Body healing. Mind. Zikara paused, searching for words. Mind still confused, long sleep, many cycles. Do you know how long you were in stasis? Zikara's skin darkened slightly. Ship systems say 32 cycles. Your years, I think. Kari tried to hide her shock. 32 years alone in space, drifting in a damaged ship with failing systems. It seemed impossible that anyone could survive so long. What happened to your ship, Zikara? The alien's 4 hands moved in patterns that seemed to help them think. Research mission. Studying space between stars. Energy storm damaged ship. Most crew died quickly. 5 entered stasis. Emergency signal activated. Zikara's skin turned a deep blue, which Penny had identified as sadness or grief. Signal sent for many cycles. Many ships passed. None stopped. Until you. Carrie frowned. You mean other ships detected your distress call but didn't respond? Yes. Detected, acknowledged, continued journey. Standard protocol for most species. Resources valuable, rescue dangerous, low benefit. The implications stunned Kari. In the galactic community, ignoring distress calls was normal policy. She couldn't imagine humans making such a cold calculation. That's not how we do things, she said firmly. Zikara studied her face. Humans different. Why risk for strangers? No benefit. Before Carrie could answer, the ship's intercom activated. Carrie, please bring our guest to engineering if they're able, Captain Wright requested. Frank has something to show both of you. In engineering, Frank Martinez and his team had been working to understand the alien ship's technology. Parts of the damaged vessel had been brought aboard for study, and Frank had made a breakthrough. The power core uses crystalline matrices, Frank explained as Zikara examined his work. It's completely different from our systems, but the principles are similar enough that I think we can repair it. Zikara's skin pulsed with quick flashes of light. The translator interpreted this as surprise or disbelief. You would repair our ship? Why? Captain Wright stepped forward. Because you need our help and we can provide it. That's reason enough. The alien turned to study the captain's face, much as they had done with Carrie earlier. Resources required, time, Materials. No benefit to humans. There's always benefit in doing the right thing, Wright replied. That's what makes us human. Frank rolled up his sleeves, revealing burn marks on his arms from where he'd been working with the alien technology. It won't be easy. The systems are complex and we'll need to adapt our tools, but we'll get it done. Zikara watched as Frank immediately went back to work, ignoring his injuries. The alien's colors shifted through patterns the translator couldn't fully interpret. Over the next week, the repair efforts continued both on the horizon and on the damaged alien vessel. Human engineers worked alongside Zikara, learning about Vorex technology while sharing their own knowledge. The work was difficult and sometimes dangerous. During one repair attempt, a power coupling overloaded, causing a small explosion. Frank was thrown across the room, his uniform singed. But instead of stopping, he simply laughed, checked himself for serious injuries, and returned to the problem. We'll try a different approach, he said, already sketching a new design on his tablet. Zikara observed this with visible confusion. You were injured. Work is dangerous. Why continue? Frank shrugged. Because it needs to be done. Besides, we're making progress. I think we've almost got the main power system figured out. Later, in the ship's mess hall, Zikara sat with Kari. The alien had been given special food prepared based on analysis of their nutritional needs. They ate carefully, still getting used to solid food after decades in stasis. Your people are strange, Kari Novak, Zikara said. Kari smiled. How so? You work hard for no gain. You risk safety to help strangers. In Vorex Collective, all actions calculated for maximum efficiency and benefit. And what would the collective have done in our position? Zikara's skin darkened. Documented discovery. Perhaps collected technology samples. Continued mission. Left. You to die, you mean? Yes. Logical choice. One life versus resources and risk. Kari shook her head. That doesn't seem very advanced to me. Vorex are advanced. Many thousands of years of space travel, part of galactic community with many species. Technology isn't everything, Kari said. Compassion matters too. Zikara was quiet for a long moment. Human compassion is unexpected. 32 cycles, many ships passed. Advanced civilizations. All made same choice. Except humans. New species. Less advanced. Yet you stopped. You helped. The alien's skin shifted to a color Kari hadn't seen before, a soft, glowing pink. What does that color mean? She asked. No direct translation, Zikara replied. Closest meaning, hope. Perhaps humans will change how galaxy thinks. Kari smiled. We're just doing what comes naturally to us. That, said Zikara, is what makes humans interesting. 2 weeks after rescuing Zikara, the Horizon crew had made significant progress repairing the alien vessel. Frank and his engineering team worked day and night, adapting human technology to work with the Vorex systems. Zikara's health improved each day, and they spent hours helping with repairs and teaching the humans about their technology. Captain Wright was in his office reviewing the repair progress when Lily Cooper rushed in, her face flushed with excitement. Captain, we're picking up a new signal, she said. It's using Vorex communication protocols. Wright looked up sharply. Is it directed at us? No, sir. It seems to be responding to an automated beacon that activated on Zikara's ship when we restored partial power to their systems. The captain frowned. Why are we just detecting this now? The beacon uses a different frequency than standard communications. We wouldn't have noticed it if Penny hadn't been specifically monitoring for alien signals. Wright stood up. Have you informed Zikara? Not yet, sir. Let's do that now. They found Zikara working with Frank in engineering. When told about the signal, the alien skin pulsed with quick flashes of blue and green. Rescue beacon, Zikara explained. Activates when ship systems detect repairs. Signals to nearest. Vorex patrol that crew still lives. So your people are coming? Frank asked. Yes. Signal identifies my ship. Patrol will come to investigate. Captain Wright crossed his arms. How long until they arrive? Zikara's eyes closed briefly, calculating. Based on signal strength and direction, 3 of your days. Over the next 3 days, the repair work continued with renewed urgency. The crew wanted to show progress when the Vorex patrol arrived. Kari noticed that Zikara seemed conflicted, happy to be rescued by their own kind but also anxious about the meeting. "Are you worried about something?" she asked as they shared a meal in the mess hall. Zikara's skin rippled in subtle patterns. "Vorex protocols are strict. Meeting new species requires careful procedures. Your rescue methods broke many protocols." "We just did what was right," Kari said. "Vorex do not always see right, same way as humans." Administrator Tevlor leads patrol ship, known for strict adherence to rules. On the 3rd day, long-range sensors detected a vessel approaching at high speed. It was larger than the horizon and shaped like a perfect sphere, with no visible seams or openings. Vorex patrol vessel Clarity of Purpose, Zikara identified. Administrator Tevlor commands. The Vorex ship slowed as it approached, taking position near the damaged research vessel. A communication request came through, and Captain Wright ordered it put on the main screen. The alien face that appeared was similar to Zikara's, but with darker skin tones and more pronounced features. The translation system identified the speaker as Administrator Tevlor. "This is Administrator Tevlor of the Vorex Collective Patrol Vessel Clarity of Purpose. We are responding to rescue beacon from research vessel Lumina. Identify yourselves." Captain Wright stepped forward. "I am Captain Alan Wright of the Earth vessel Horizon. We responded to a distress call from the Lumina and rescued a survivor named Zikara." Tevlor's skin flashed with rapid color changes that the translator couldn't keep up with. When they spoke again, their tone was noticeably colder. "Human vessel, your presence was not requested or required. Rescue operations for Vorex ships are conducted by Vorex patrols according to established protocols." "With all due respect, Administrator," Wright replied, keeping his voice level. "The Lumina had been drifting for 32 years. Zikara was the only survivor, and their stasis pod was failing when we found them. This information is noted. Prepare to transfer Zikara and all Vorex technology to our vessel immediately." Wright's jaw tightened. "Zikara is our guest, not our prisoner. They are free to leave whenever they wish. As for the technology, we've been working to repair their ship. We'd like to finish what we started." The Vorex administrator's colors darkened. "Your interference in collective matters is concerning. Humans are not recognized members of the galactic community. Your species' recent emergence into interstellar space has been observed with caution by established civilizations. Is that why no one responded to the Lumina's distress call for 32 years? Wright asked sharply. Before Tevlor could respond, Zikara stepped into view of the communication screen. Their skin displayed a formal pattern of colors that seemed to hold special meaning to Tevlor, whose posture changed immediately. "Researcher Zikara, your survival is noted with satisfaction," Tevlor said, their tone more respectful. "Prepare for transfer to proper Vorex care." "I request formal hearing," Zikara said, their voice stronger than the humans had heard before. "These humans saved my life when many Vorex and other ships ignored our call. They deserve respect, not suspicion." Tevlor seemed taken aback by this request. "Unusual circumstances require unusual procedures. A meeting will be arranged." 6 hours later, representatives from both ships met in the largest conference room on the horizon. Captain Wright brought Carrie, Frank, and Lily with him. The Vorex delegation consisted of Administrator Tevlor and 3 assistants, all displaying the same formal color patterns on their skin. Tevlor began by presenting evidence from the Lumina's logs. Records confirmed 37 ships detected. Distress signal over 32 years. 14 were Vorex vessels, others from various civilizations. None stopped. The administrator turned to face the humans. "This follows galactic protocols for deep space encounters where rescue probability is low and resource expenditure high." "That's a cold way to run a galaxy," Frank muttered, earning a sharp look from Captain Wright. "These humans risked their mission and resources to save me," Zikara said. "Their actions demonstrate values that perhaps our collective has forgotten." Tevlor's skin darkened with displeasure. "Humans are unpredictable. Their emotional decision-making makes them dangerous. Other species in the galactic community share our concerns. We're dangerous because we care about life? Carrie asked, unable to stay silent. Because we won't calculate the value of someone's existence against the fuel it costs to save them? Your species makes decisions based on emotional impulses rather than logical assessment, Tevlor replied. This is inefficient and potentially threatens the careful balance maintained for thousands of years. Captain Wright leaned forward. Administrator, in the few weeks we've known Zakara, we've learned much about your technology and culture. We've shared our knowledge freely because we believe cooperation benefits everyone. If that makes us dangerous in your eyes, so be it. It is not only your compassion that concerns us, Tevlor said. It is your persistence. When faced with problems other species would deem unsolvable, humans continue trying. Your cultural stories celebrate those who succeed against impossible odds. This unpredictability makes you difficult to categorize. Frank smiled for the first time during the meeting. You're right about that. We don't give up easily. Zakara raised all four hands in a gesture that silenced the room. I have observed these humans. Yes, they are different. Their methods seem chaotic, but their hearts... The translator paused, searching for equivalent terms. Their core values are true. The collective should not fear difference but learn from it. The meeting continued for hours with tensions gradually easing as both sides shared information. By the end, while suspicion remained, there was also a grudging respect developing between the two crews. As the meeting concluded, Tevlor made a surprising announcement. The collective will document this incident as a case of unprecedented interspecies cooperation. Human assistance will be formally acknowledged. It wasn't exactly warm friendship, but it was a start. The week following the meeting with Administrator Tevlor brought unexpected changes. Instead of taking Zakara and leaving immediately, the Vorex patrol ship remained alongside the horizon. More surprising still was Tevlor's offer to help complete the repairs on the damaged research vessel. Their approach is very different from ours, Frank told Captain Wright, as they watched Vorex engineers working alongside the human crew. They focus on perfection before action. We prefer to try things, fail, and adjust, Wright nodded. And yet, when our methods combine, the work goes faster. The repair efforts had indeed accelerated. The Vorex brought specialized tools and replacement parts that the humans couldn't fabricate. In return, the human engineers contributed creative solutions that sometimes shocked the methodical aliens. One morning, Kari found Zakara on the observation deck, staring out at the stars. The alien's skin glowed with soft, thoughtful colors. Deep thoughts? Kari asked, joining them at the viewport. Observing change, Zakara replied. Not just in ships, in people. What do you mean? Administrator Tevlor followed rules for entire career. 300 of your years. Never questioned protocols. Now watches humans solve problems in ways Vorex never considered. It causes reconsideration. Kari smiled. We tend to have that effect on people. Last night, Tevlor asked why Vorex stopped exploring with curiosity. When did efficiency become more important than discovery? These are questions not asked in collective for many generations. In the engineering section, a similar conversation was happening between Frank and the Vorex chief engineer, Velnar. They were working on integrating the propulsion systems, a task that had proven particularly challenging. Your solution uses twice the energy of standard protocols, Velnar observed as Frank tested a new connection method. Frank wiped sweat from his forehead. But it works right now with the parts we have. Sometimes good enough today is better than perfect tomorrow. Velnar's skin shifted to a thoughtful blue. Vorex would spend 3 cycles designing optimal solution. You created working system in 3 days. And you'll probably improve it once it's running, Frank replied with a grin. That's why we make a good team. The alien engineer was quiet for a moment. Perhaps collective has forgotten value of improvisation. On the 10th day after the Vorex arrival, both ships received a surprising transmission. It came from a small vessel at the edge of their sensor range, using a simple communication protocol. Message repeats in 12 languages, Lily reported, It's another distress call. Captain Wright and Administrator Tevlor met in the Horizons Conference room to discuss the new development. Scan identifies vessel as trading ship from Meridian Alliance, Tevlor said. Minor civilization, not strategic importance. They need help, Wright said simply. Standard protocol suggests logging location, reporting to Alliance authorities. Upon return to civilized space, Wright looked at the administrator steadily. And if it were a Vorex ship? Tevlor's colors shifted uncertainly. Patrol vessel would respond to Vorex distress. Priority given to our own kind. What about the priority of life itself? Any life. The room fell silent as Tevlor seemed to struggle with an internal debate. Finally, the administrator spoke. Perhaps traditional protocols require reassessment in light of new perspectives. To everyone's surprise, Tevlor suggested a joint mission. A shuttle with both human and Vorex crew would investigate the distress call, while the main vessels continued repairs. The small trading ship had suffered severe damage to its navigation systems. The crew, 4 aliens from a species neither humans nor Vorex had encountered before, were shocked when both humans and Vorex arrived to help them. Many ships pass, the trader captain told them through a basic translation program. None stop. Why you different? Frank, who had volunteered for the mission, glanced at Velnar before answering. Because that's what neighbors do. The Vorex. Engineer added, perhaps it is time for change in how stars are traveled. When the joint team returned with the rescued traders, a celebration was held in the Horizons mess hall. Humans, Vorex, and the rescued Meridians shared food, stories, and music despite their many differences. Captain Wright watched with satisfaction as the barriers between the species seemed to melt away. Later that evening, Tevlor approached Wright privately. Captain, I must make formal acknowledgement. Vorex assessment of humans was incomplete. Wright smiled. We're often underestimated. Your methods lack our precision but contain something we have lost. My report to Collective will recommend reassessment of human species classification and of our own protocols. The final repairs to Zikara's research vessel were completed the following day. The ship, once broken and adrift, now hummed with renewed energy. It would still bear the scars of its ordeal, but it could fly again, much like its lone survivor. As the time for departure approached, Zikara met with Kari and Captain Wright one last time. The alien's skin glowed with warm colors of friendship. Journey continues because of you, Zikara said. This will not be forgotten. Will you return to the Collective? Kari asked. Yes, but with new purpose. To share what I have learned from humans, about helping others without calculating benefit, about persistence when logic says surrender. Zikara held out a small crystalline object. For you, data crystal containing star charts and information about civilizations beyond your knowledge. Wright looked surprised. Is this allowed? I thought there were protocols about sharing such information. There are, Zikara said, their skin flickering with what the humans now recognized as amusement. But sometimes protocols should be questioned. You saved me when others would not. You deserve to know more about the galaxy you travel. Before boarding their repaired vessel, Zikara turned to address the gathered crew of the Horizon. Your kind reminds us of what we once were, perhaps what we should be again. The galaxy is filled with ancient civilizations that have forgotten the value of compassion. Humans bring something new, something necessary. Administrator Tevlor, standing nearby, added, and something that may change how stars are traveled for generations to come. As the alien ships prepared to depart, the Horizon received an unexpected message. It wasn't just one distress call, but several, coming from different sectors of space. The signals were being specifically routed to the human vessel. Word has spread, Lily said in amazement, about the humans who answer calls that others ignore. Captain Wright smiled as he looked at his crew. It seems we found our place in the galaxy, he told them. Not as the most advanced civilization, but maybe as the most necessary one. He turned to the helm officer. Plot a course for the nearest call. Let's show the galaxy what humans do best. The Horizon engaged its engines, leaving the repaired alien ship and its Vorex escort behind. Ahead lay new adventures and a galaxy that was just beginning to understand the unique gift that humanity brought to the stars. Not advanced technology or ancient wisdom, but something much simpler and perhaps more powerful: the willingness to help a stranger in need.